Streamcast.
Hey yo, what's going on everyone? Welcome to the Streamcast. I'm Blackamura, and today we have a very special guest, all the way from the United States, an absolute legend in the game, part of Dames for Games, Freedom Games, Black Voices in Gaming, Lv1 Gaming, the wonderfully talented and good-spirited Destinee.
Oh my god, I can't top that. That was wild. It was like, I do all that? Okay, yeah, that's me.
Yeah. You're like the hardest working person now in the entire content creation field. Yeah,
I do. It's wild because I think a lot of people don't know me, which is kind of good, right? Because I'm able to make some moves without being seen and like work on things without being seen. So I've gotten to the point where if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. I just don't remember it because there's
just
so
me.
I don't like it though. I don't like it. It makes me feel like really old and absent-minded. Like, what? We said we were going to meet when? When did we say? So, but here we are. And I love being on Streamcast. I love coming back and talking to you. And I feel like you've watched me grow and like my journey. And like, I've watched you grow and like, we're at like different places. No telling where we'll be in like even a couple of months, a year from now, like doing big things.
Yeah, I feel like that's a mighty foreshadowing there.
We do some big things.
Yeah. How are you though? How's your day been?
It's been really good. It's been like really, really good. I think I'm coming down off of like getting everything done for the Dames for Games showcase, which is like a space where we're going to be uplifting women in the game industry and in the community because we're out here playing games and everybody should be seen, heard, and respected. That's how I feel about everyone, whether it's part of the LGBTQ plus community, whether it's people of color, whether it's people with disabilities. There are all types of gamers. There's not one certain type of gamer. We're all out here enjoying games. And I just want to make sure certain people are able to be appreciated and looked at and represented. So when a little girl sees someone on the screen who's doing something that she never thought she could do, now she knows she can do it, right? So that was the main focus for Dames for Games. And also just to kind of have that camaraderie. Like, I know it can be a very toxic place sometimes being in the community and even the industry. So creating that space, that safe place, creating something that means a lot to me, being a woman of color. Like, I just felt like it was time. It's been past due. We need to do this. We have so many showcases. Why not put together a showcase that really highlights women? And like I asked you before, and to no fault of your own, could you name any studios where like the women were CEOs? And you couldn't. And that's, like I said, it's not your fault. It's literally because it's not being talked about. It's not being showcased. And it should be because we have some incredible women out here doing some major things in the industry. And you should know about it. You should learn about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think that goes to illustrate the problem. And you are the solution with Dames for Games. And
trying to be.
I think you'll get there. I think out of all the mutuals and out of everyone that I know, I think you have so much mileage and potential with all of your brands to make it everything that you want it to be. So I'm here rooting for you.
Thank you. It's wild. It's wild to think. I think in general, I'm just a really hard worker. And when I believe in something, I put my all into it. And I think that's really what you have to do. And you have to realize that it's not always going to be fun. It's always going to be like happy, good go times. Like, there are going to be times where like you're working. I'm going to be working after this. I was working before this. You might not have the weekends you want to have. And that's how it is when you're building, I'm saying an empire, but like, that's how it is when you're building. When you're building anything, like you're on your no days off ish. And that's what's happening right now. Like, I'm trying to build something not just for me. And I think that's what really kind of motivates me. I'm doing this for all of the little girls out there, all the people of color out there, because that's my main focus. It will always be my main focus because I'm Black and I'm a woman. I'm out here pulling an Issa Rae. I'm trying to see all the Black people win. And I'm especially trying to see all the women win in an industry that has historically kind of ignored us and put us on the back burner, which does not make sense because Black people probably make up like half of the gamers out there, regardless of what type of game it is, you know, and we shouldn't just be the stars in sports games like NBA and football. Like we should be able to star. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I threw that out
you're
there.
absolutely right. You're absolutely valid. I didn't mean to cut you off, but you're so right. And it's like the amount of research that we've had to do, and it's on our website, like that is up there. Like Black people make up, I can't remember what percentage, like 10% of all characters in games. But so many of them are gangsters and athletes. So there's no creativity. There's no genuine storytelling there. You've just got a token. Sorry, Destinee. Yeah, you just got me riled up.
No. And you're absolutely right. And tokenism, like I hate that it was even a thing, but like the fact that it's still a thing, but how they're doing it now is a little bit different. Like they'll throw out one Black game and be like, well, you know, it has a Black starring character. So this is your game for the year.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, okay, you can't do it like that, especially when people of color, and I'm just talking about people in general, we make up more than 50% of the people walking around, breathing, talking, living life on this earth. There is no reason why we should not be represented in film and in any industry more than what we are now, right? So just to go back to like Dames for Games and Black Voices in Gaming and like what I do with the Lv1 podcast and what I try to do with Freedom Games, I'm trying to create the change I want to see. I want to see more of us being recognized for the amount of work that we put into it. Like a lot of people play consoles and like don't know who the godfather of consoles is. And I'm not even going to mention his name. Go look it up. Okay. Go look it up because he's Black. You know what I mean? So like there's so many people and he's not the only person. And that's another problem too. Like people look to him as like, and this is going to sound crazy. You know how like,
I know what you're going to say. Yeah.
You know how like people look to Martin Luther King as the be all end all of like, yeah, like there's no other freedom fighters. Like he's the one, he's the only person who was fighting during that time. Let's not do that anymore because there were so many people. And I know that's like a crazy analogy, but it really happens a lot. It happens a lot for non-Black people who try to use that in an argument. Well, Martin Luther King wouldn't really like if you blah, blah, blah. But you don't know Martin Luther King. Like you know textbook Martin Luther King, which is a very watered down version of Martin Luther King. You don't know he was about that life. Okay. And that's just saying like there's so many characters in our history and not just in the US. Like I'm going to be honest, I don't know about a lot of like the Black characters who may have been in the UK, the historical events that they may have done, but I'm absolutely sure there were, you know what I mean? And like everyone who was in South Africa, like all the people there, like people only really talk about Nelson Mandela, but he wasn't the end all be all of the people trying to make changes and make life better for people of color in general. So when I say I want representation, I want correct representation. I do not want you to slap a coat of paint on something and say, hey, well, you know, this is what we got for you and this is what we're giving to you. Like, don't force feed me things that aren't really truly representative of what I am and what people are, because you have it. There's no excuse. For these big companies, there's no excuse. And if you're not putting other races in your games or in your films, it's because you don't want to. And that's what you need to say. You need to just like put it out there so people can call you on your shit. Like just say that. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but and it's sad because one of my favorite games is Final Fantasy VII. But the conversation around the things that they have said about not representing certain people in their games. And then when they do have a chance to like properly represent one of their classic iconic characters, who is Barrett, they use a stereotypical over caricature version of what a strong Black single father basically would be in their game. It really hurt me, because like, it's like, just tell us you don't care. You know what I mean? Just tell us you don't care. And I think they have, in a lot of ways they have. And what's sad about that is like, okay, I get it. All right, you're in Japan and your main focus is Japanese people, right? But like, also, I don't see a lot of Japanese people in your games or leading the forefront of your games. The most iconic characters that you have right now, and I'll name 5 because we just had a movie, is an Italian plumber and his brother.
Yep.
Princess Peach, who is obviously Caucasian. If she's something else and she dyes her hair and she's wearing a weave or a wig, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she's Caucasian. You have Kirby, which is like, he's nothing. I love Kirby. I love Kirby. This is not me hating on Kirby.
I draw the line at Kirby, all right?
But listen, this is me saying your iconic characters aren't representative of who you are in Japan. So, like, even though we love Kirby, Kirby's not Asian. I'm sorry to break it to you, but he is definitely, nobody in Asia looks like Kirby, you know? And I think when you start creating these games and you're so well known, you literally have Pokemon, and I don't know if Ash is Asian. Like, I'm not sure. I think you could say he's Asian because he has dark hair, but I don't know if he's actually Asian.
Yeah, you could argue it, but like, it's not like, oh, that's an Asian man, like,
right?
It's not a striking or first thing that you notice when you see him, which is, I think, something that's plagued them for a very long time.
It has.
A lot of animes like that. A lot.
So while I'm like, appreciative that they put Barrett, in the game, like, just don't put him in the game if you're not going to represent him correct. I would rather him not be in the game than be represented in a way that I feel is not like conducive to a proper representation. But like I said, we appreciate. Thank you for giving us that token. We appreciate it.
Thanks for trying.
But also, like, I would just love to see more Japanese characters leading your games. Like, if that were the case, if they were like, yo, this is what we're going to do. We want to do Japanese stories and we want our leads to be Japanese. I wouldn't be able to say anything about that because you're a Japanese culture, and that's what I expect, that it's your game. But then when I look at your game and it's not even a representation of that, and it's just like very like, let's pull in all these Western looking characters to lead these stories.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, you might as well put us all in your fantasy. You know what I mean?
I have many points. This is why Ghost of Tsushima, for example, is very important, because that's got very accurate representation. It's the most beautiful game I've ever played.
They did right with that one.
Yeah, that. Yeah, they did that. Yeah, you talk about, Final Fantasy being a Japanese game. Their next game is based in Europe, right? It's like Europe, alt Europe. And what they've basically said is,
tell the people.
This is my fantasy, and I don't want certain demographics in my fantasy. So,
but like, if we're basing it off of Europe and it's a fantasy in Europe, like, that demographic is there. I'm just tired of seeing, like, you know what? I don't know. It could come from like a deeper thing, and I just don't know about it. And I would love to actually talk to someone to kind of understand their perspective on it, because Japan, for the most part, is Japanese. And I know that sounds stupid, but what I'm trying to say is that, like, their country, including a lot of like Asian countries, only have like 99% of the people who are there are Asian. So I could see like some of that being like, well, this is our fantasy and only this type of people are here because that's what they're used to. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you still got a couple of like, chocolate people dotting, Japan. You have white people in Japan. So like, if you're going to do something like that, like, just say it. Just say you don't like us. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how it feels. That's really how it feels when you say, like, I don't see you in my fantasy, but I see white people in my fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, that hurts because it's like, damn, what do we do? Like, why are we not good enough to be in your game? We've supported your game over the years. We've played your games over the years.
It is insane how many Black people love Final Fantasy.
Yeah. And then you turn around and tell us, like, you don't belong in our story. That makes me never want to play Final Fantasy again.
That's me. Yep. Dropped 7 Remake halfway through because I thought it was mid. And
I only played the first part of it, and I immediately was angry with Barrett. Immediately. Like, as soon as he came on the screen, I was like, they didn't. Oh, they didn't do that.
Oh, they did.
But they absolutely did. Like, he does not have to be angry and black. Like,
and loud.
And loud for no reason. Like, I think there's a part where, like, he gets told to, like, quieten down, and I can't remember what it is. Or maybe it was just me. No, it was just me. They were supposed to be doing, like, espionage or something, and, like, they were sneaking in, and the whole time he's yelling. And I'm like, what? Why are you doing that? Why are you making him seem so stupid? How you gonna sneak in and be yelling about? And I really do. I can't remember because it's been so long, but I swear to God, I feel like Cloud's reaction to him is negative. Like, damn, why is he being so loud or something?
Cloud
and I was
is an asshole.
Yeah, and I was just like, I don't like that. Don't already show animosity between, like, a character that I feel I can connect with. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but anyways, the game's already made. And there's really not much we can do about it. But just to, like, Final Fantasy people, if you ever watch this, we love your games, but we're disappointed in the fact that you think we don't belong in your stories.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Right? It hurts. You literally have an online version of Final Fantasy where you can be any color you want. It's okay for us to be any color we want there, but not in, like, your other games. That doesn't really make sense, does it? So, I mean, it's your game. You do what you want. I'm gonna boycott the shit.
Yeah.
Until, like, there's better representation. Now, if they come up with a Final Fantasy that all takes place in Japan and all the characters are Japanese, I might play that. You know what I'm saying? Because I get it. That's the story that you're trying to tell. But right now, you can't tell me in a fantasy world where you have giant chicken babies running around that you can't have Black people in it. Like, you can't. I'm not trying to hear all that. And I think Barrett is literally the only Black character I saw in the original Final Fantasy. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, even if I saw NPCs that were his color, and I cannot remember. And if I did, they didn't stand out enough. So that's another problem. In the movie, in Advent Children, did you see I think there were maybe 2 or 3. I don't know. I could be lying. I can't even remember. But that's my point. It means it didn't stand up enough. You know what I'm saying? Barrett should not be the only Black person.
Yeah, that's the point. And that is something that their director has said on record. So this isn't like us making conjecture or us, putting two together. This is us responding to a statement that they put out. Read between the lines. They don't want dark skin in their fantasy. Cool. Before we get on with the rest of the podcast, I'd just like to give a special shout out to Spilt Milk Studios for their support over on Patreon. To find out how you can get a shout out just like them, make sure to go to patreon.com/streamcast for more. When you said there's not much that we can do, the only thing we can do is not give them our money.
Yeah.
Don't play the game. Yeah. That is our buying power. That is our power. And that is why the indie scene is very, very important right now.
The indie scene is so important. Say it loud so the people in the back can hear it. The indie scene, it is where it's at. I am so supportive of them because these developers are coming out of the woodwork with different stories, different visions. They're bringing their culture into it. There are so many stories that AAAs won't touch that indies are not afraid to push. And I think it's amazing. It's incredible. If you have not played an indie game, go play an indie game, because they are literally representing every walk of life, the full spectrum, all the rainbow. It has, you know, LGBTQ plus stories. It has stories of like, but I think I just played a game called Dot, which was basically, it's on Apple Arcade. So if you guys have Apple, there's probably other places too, but it's basically about this girl. It's like a narrative driven story, and she's Black. She lives in, I want to say, Detroit. And the story is about basically how people have come in and tried to, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, like when a neighborhood is predominantly people of color, and then other people start moving in, and then
Gentrifying.
Yes, gentrifying the area. And so like she lives with her grandmother, and this white guy comes in and tries to buy their house, right? And it takes you back through her lineage of like what it took for her grandmother to buy the house in the first place, back when like they were redlining. And for people who don't know what redlining is basically they took what land they didn't think was very prosperous or, you know, very good, and they made sure that those areas were areas where people of color could afford to live, right? You even had like times where like, and this was in America, and the United States to be specific, because I don't know what was happening in Canada at the time, but you would go and you would try to get a loan, and they would only approve you for loans in certain areas, right? So there were times where Black people were able to get higher loans. I don't even know how that came to be, but or they had a bigger down payment, and they would move into white neighborhoods, and then white people would be upset and start moving out of those neighborhoods. And then like it would become like a neighborhood of people of color, and then they would like redline it. So that's basically what this story is about, what this game is about. And you would never see a game like that coming from a AAA. So that's why it's so important to like see. And then there was this other game, it's called Raps, and it's from South Africa, a team out of South Africa. And it's about this little girl, and she has this super huge afro. She has these two friends, and it's like this adventure about her and her afro, and this magical adventure that she's going on. And you would never see that coming from like a AAA. And I love the fact that people are out there and not afraid to put out the stories that they want to see. And I love that we're able to experience a different culture through stories, or learn historical facts through stories that otherwise you might not have known about. You never would have thought to check out. So indie is where it's at, for sure.
Yeah. As Hassan would say, if you don't play indie games, you're really doing yourself a disservice. So change that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like this has been perfect, because obviously Final Fantasy fan, obviously a big proponent of the indies, and we're gonna get into your love of games and what you're doing for the indie scene as well, with a lot of the brands that you are heading up. So let's take it all the way back. Young Destinee.
Destinee.
Your first ever game and console?
Yeah, it was dating myself here. It was an Atari. My dad bought it when I lived in Germany. My parents were in the military, so he bought it for us. And the first game I ever like played and loved was a Smurfs game, which is basically I don't know if you guys know what Smurfs are. They're little blue people who live in mushrooms. Yeah. And it was like this little adventure game. And you could decorate your house, which was like basically equivalent of what MS Paint used to be when it first came out. It was terrible. But at the time, it was like very new and very exciting. So I think there's like a YouTube video of the game or something. I looked it up once when I was talking about it. It does not hold up. Okay. But that was the first game. And I wouldn't even consider myself a gamer. It was just like something I like to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the first one.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Please, when you after this, let me know what that game is. I want to see it. Because I'm weird like that. I like seeing stuff from the past.
No, I'll show you.
Oh yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. From your first ever game, let's get into your favorite games. what
Ooh.
would Destiny's top 5 games be?
You know, it changes all the time. But like if I really were to think about it, like I said, Final Fantasy VII was one of my favorite games, and I think it was because of the storytelling. And it was the first game I ever played where they killed off a main character and we're not bringing her back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. But yeah, I was really devastated because I decided not to take her out on the date, because you can take the character out on a date. I took
Oh.
like Cat Sith or whatever, Kate Sith, as a joke. And then she died like 30 minutes later. And I was like, and I get anxiety about that kind of thing. So I was like, did I do something wrong? So I replayed it multiple times, not knowing that, like, nah, she's supposed to die. Like, listen, I was waiting for her to come back the entire game. I was like, they ain't gonna do Aerith like that. They're not gonna do my girl like that. Like, that's my love interest. What y'all doing? But yeah, killed her off. Was like no regrets. So that happened. Also, I still believe like they could have like just told the story without killing her off. Like, I know it's supposed to be super cataclysmic for Cloud or whatever, but I was like, she could have just been mortally wounded. You know what I'm saying?
You didn't have to kill her.
You didn't have to kill her. Okay, she could have just left the party and decided to sell flowers for the rest of her life. Like, didn't have to kill her, because you bring her back in the movies and every other game. So like,
continuity.
Anyways, so there's that. The other game that I like always go back to and like absolutely love is Streets of Rage 2.
Ooh, good choice.
Love that one because like a lot of people don't realize, but like Blaze is the leader of the entire party. Like,
is she?
Yeah, she is. She's the leader. She's the one who got everybody together to take on this dude. Who's like wreaking havoc in the city. But literally, I love it because it's a button smasher and it just lets me beat the ever living shit out of people. Favorite game, so good. And the soundtrack for 2 was just bumping. Like, I love the soundtrack for it. So good, incredible, iconic. Now, when I think of like other games, I would say Zelda: A Link to the Past was probably one of my favorite. I know a lot of people are like Ocarina of Time, but I'm old. And Zelda: A Link to the Past was my first RPG, right? My first game ever playing. And I remember it was like raining, and I went over to my cousin's house, and he was playing it on his Super NES, and I was like, what is this? Right? Like, absolutely loved it. Thought I bought the game. Went out and bought Zelda because it was on a gold, like it came out on a gold like cassette, but that was for the Nintendo. That was the original one. Put that in, and it was not game, and I was very upset. So Zelda: A Link to the Past is my favorite out of all the Zelda games. So that's 3. Number 4. God, there have been okay. So now we're gonna jump to the future. So number 4 would be The Witcher. Absolutely love that. 3 to be specific, and all the DLCs that came with it. So Blood and Wine, and then God, what was the other one called? I can't think of it right now, but love that. Yeah. Love the narrative design in that. I love the fact that people really reacted to you. Like, I just think the narrative design in that game is absolutely incredible. It is really, really good. I was so into it that so let me tell you how I got into The Witcher 3. I saw the show first, right? And I hated Yennefer. And everybody was like, why do you not like her? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, because she made the choice to become a witch, and now she wants to give everybody else shit because she doesn't have a uterus anymore. Like, that's not how that works. You know what I mean? Like, she was just very bitter, and I just didn't like her character. I was like, bitch, you made the choice. You need to give up your uterus. Yeah. Adopt. Anyways, so I went down a rabbit hole because I had played the first game and was just like, eh. And that was like years before. So then this is how I got back into it. After I watched that, because in the first game, you don't really see a lot of Yennefer, and I never read the books. I don't even remember how far I got into it, but I don't remember Yennefer. And I never read the books. So then after watching the show, I was like, people were like, I'm Team Trish, I'm Team Yennefer. And Trish isn't really a huge character in the first season I stopped watching after the first season. I was just done with it. So then I was like, let me go back and watch all the games from beginning to end and then like play the last one. So it took me 6 months, but I did. I watched this one guy. I forgot what his name is. And that sucks because I could have totally tagged him, but yeah. Anyways, he's the Witcher something, and he like his name. But anyways, watched him play from the first one all the way up to like the last one and the DLCs. And it was okay when I watched him play. The only thing I hated is that he was mad Team Yennefer the whole time. Like he wouldn't like have like relations with in the brothel or anything. And I was like, just let me see what it's like. Like just go in there. Like it was just like, that's why I really ended up playing the game myself. I wanted to experience some of the things that he wouldn't do because he
wanted to go into the brothels.
Yeah, I wanted to go into I mean, like if they're there, you know.
Yeah, might as well use them. Yeah.
You know. But yeah,
Who wouldn't?
I don't feel bad about it. Y'all can make me feel bad about it. If there's a brothel in a game and I can do some extracurricular activities, I want to see what it looks like in the game. I want to see how much work they put into it. Yeah. Don't put it in the game if you don't want me to see it. Anyways, so that was my reason for GTA too. When I found out like you could pick up like prostitutes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it prostitutes. Prostitutes.
Please, not prostitutes.
When you could pick those up,
yeah.
I wanted to see what would happen. I was very disappointed. Very disappointed. You don't see anything. And that makes me sound like a huge like pervert, but I'm not. I'm really just interested in like how you were able to put this in a game and get away with it. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm always like curious about that. So if they're like, because you never really expect games like that to have sex or to like tap onto those things, right? And just so everybody who's watching knows, sex is a very healthy thing. It should not be taboo. It's something that like everybody should be able to talk about. And like people are like, oh, if you talk about it, you're probably like into crazy things. I'm not. I just like to see where things are going. Like the hottest scene for me, one of the hottest scenes for me doesn't even show anything. It was from Titanic where you just saw hands and like foggy windows. And I was just like, oh my God, like this is intense. Okay. So like, that's probably one of the hottest things for me. I just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, I wanted to experience it all. But it's incredible. Even the writing and the cutscenes, the way they do the cutscenes and the brothel are just very well done. Like, and respectfully done. It's not gross or anything like that, you know? Because I watched Bridgerton and I saw the sex scenes in that, and that was way more intense than anything that was in. I don't know if you've seen Bridgerton, but it was intense.
Yeah, Akira is very much into it. I've
you had to sit
watched
there. Sorry.
Yeah.
The first one was good, but when they got rid of Reggie, I was like, why am I going to keep watching? Anyway, so yeah, The Witcher was really good, like that. Hated Yennefer. Decided to watch all of those games again because I really wanted to understand her character. Didn't want to read the books. Decided to watch the games. Still don't like Yennefer. And very much Team Trish still. And will always be Team Trish. I feel like she actually loved Girl. I don't care if she tricked him. She tricked him because she loved him. And she was never like Yennefer is what's the word? Yennefer suffers from narcissism. And I believe that in the heart of my soul. And Geralt likes to be, I don't know who decided to make his character like this, but whoever wrote his character like this, they like being stepped on by women. I absolutely believe that because like the shit he takes from Yennefer in the game, the way she speaks to him, like she does not respect him. It is such a toxic relationship. And he's just like, Yennefer. And I just hate that. I do. I hate that. Anyways, that was like such a tangent. But yeah, so love those games. And then I think my last one would be God of War. Ooh. And I am a huge fan. Huge fan. I don't even think I need to go into details. I am a huge fan. Okay.
Go into detail if you want. Like, this is your
just
time.
Zaddy vibes. You know what I mean? Zaddy vibes. Like all the way through. Like I was just like, And it's messed up because he looks like he hasn't bathed in forever, got all that
He's
that
mad
ash
ashy.
on him. He's
Yeah.
mad ashy, but I love it. Only on him though. Like if I ever saw like somebody else who just was not moisturized, I would call them out on it immediately.
Okay. So like you don't want the message of this podcast to be Destinee
date ashy men. No.
Yeah. Like
absolutely
ashy men
not.
line up. Yeah. The DMs are open.
No.
Destinee,
the only
like,
ashy man I'm taking in my life, and this is really funny because this is definitely like a black thing. The only ashy man I'm taking in my life is him. Okay. Everybody else, your lips better be on point, Carmex, moisturized, and I don't want to see no ashy ankles or knuckles. That literally I hate that. I don't understand. And this little part right here, put lotion there.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Double lotion.
I don't understand. Lotion. You can't be glistening everywhere else and then poof.
That thing will embarrass you though.
It will.
No, double lotion every time.
Yes, you got a double lotion. Have hand lotion on you. Do not be ashamed of having a tube of hand lotion.
Yeah. Everywhere I go.
You got to.
Yeah.
Our skin is too dark to be out here playing games. Like we don't need moisturization.
Yeah, that's why they will be surprised when they hear our age, and it's like raw. It's not by accident. We don't just step out the shower and put clothes on. Like,
put some lotion on.
Yeah, lotion.
But so he's the only one.
Destinee does not like ashy men.
No.
Okay.
Don't let that wink fool you. Because you'll come up and get mad, disrespected. Do not let that wink. I will offer you. I dated a guy once who and obviously we broke up because I said I dated a guy once, but it used to kill me because his lips would be chapped and I hate that. And I'm like, I know that is painful because if I look at it and it feels painful to me, I know on your face that has to be painful. Why would you walk around with just your lips all cracked up like that? Nobody's gonna want to. This sounds so mean, but people, take care of yourself. You only have one pair of lips, one body. Take care of yourself, especially if you're gonna go out in public. Don't get clowned.
You know what? That's a very good point. Yes.
If you don't stay at home and you want to be ashy and lips chapped, that's fine. You're at home. You're in your own space. But if you're going to go out and you try hitting on a girl and you have lip flakes, oh my God.
Yeah. Look. Yeah.
The audacity.
Take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself. Drink your water. Stop it. Get some help. You know what I mean? I don't know how we got on that. I feel like our tangent, you're like, what games do you like? Moisturize your body.
This is why I will always ask for you to be on the pod. Because I'm going to be like, what will we talk about this time? The answer lies in the heart of battle. We started off about Final Fantasy. We got on to ashy men.
At least Barrett's not ashy.
See, and he only has one hand.
He only has one hand. So I know it's hard to put lotion on. You know what I'm saying? Full circle. Full circle.
That's it. It's always about the gaming, but it's also about the people that we're spotlighting. Destinee, one of, in my opinion, the key figures in gaming. One of the big, highest rising, fastest rising stars in content creation, and coverage of the arts. So with all of your game, you did list 5. Yeah, you did. That's how sidetracked I got. With your
talking about that lotion, big boy.
It's I was thinking, oh yeah, I got to re-up because mine's running low still. I can't be it without. I can't. Anyway, with your love for games, tell me how you made the transition, because of course, this is not the first time you've been on the Streamcast. People have seen your face, they've heard your voice before. How did you make that jump from playing the games to, I want to cover games, I want to talk about games, and hey, I want to be the platform that uplifts other Black people and marginalized groups in gaming?
So I've always played games, like just for entertainment purposes. And how I started, like, I started streaming maybe 2 weeks before I moved to Korea, and then I stopped streaming. But I felt like if I'm already playing the game, why not stream it? And just people could stop by if they want to. Like, it was never kind of a goal to be a content creator or anything like that. And I think for me, in a way, that was really good because I didn't have a lot of the disappointments that maybe a
Mhm.
lot of people have trying to get into it. I can say, in a way, I fell into it, but I've always kind of done things in the game industry. I was a graphic artist with Interrobang for a while for their game, um, Super Combo Man. So moving from that and actually being on a podcast, I was approached by a friend while I was in South Korea, and they wanted to do a podcast focused on gaming and mental health. And honestly, the mental health thing is really what brought me on, because I feel like gaming, everybody does, gaming. There are a lot of people who do gaming, but there are not a lot of people who talk about mental health. And coming from, the United States and being an African American woman and just living within our communities, I know that mental health is a very taboo thing. Like, you don't really talk about it. Like, if you have issues, you don't want people knowing. They don't want people knowing, like,
Yeah.
that you're crazy. You know what? There's
Yeah.
just a very negative stereotype to it. And so I was like, yeah, I would love to talk about these things because I want to learn more for myself. And I want to show that, like, me being a Black woman in the community, I'm open to talking about it and talking about my issues. And I think that's the first step, but also being a Black woman. I wanted to talk about Black issues within the game community, within the industry. And I think that was something that really kept me motivated. And then, like, talking to you and bringing on other creators and sharing that experience while educating people who didn't have that, didn't quite understand it. And then from there, I worked a bit with Lv1. I got a job at Freedom Games. And my goal has always been, throughout all of this, is having proper representation. Like, I'm the only Black female on the publishing team at Freedom Games currently. I'm the only person of color, of like African American descent, that is full time, like working like
Wow.
full time, as one of the management team, right? Um, and to just kind of like say that it's not a bad thing. It's great that they opened this position up for me and accepted me and all of that kind of stuff. But, like, it's baby steps, right? Like, we need to continue to open up these roles for other people of color. Like, it's just important. And I think one of the things that I've walked away with, just out of the entire time I've worked in different industries, is that I'm tired of being the only person there who is Black, or being one of two people who are Black in a company. And so, um, it's kind of the same with the first podcast I was on. We didn't have another main podcaster who was a person of color. So it was me and two white guys, right? So not only was I the only female, I was also the only person of color. So I felt that my perspective, I needed to push my perspective because I felt that it was important. And with that, I tried to bring on as many people of color as I could, and not just people of color, but people part of the LGBTQ plus community, people like elderly gamers. Like, I tried to make it as inclusive as possible because while being Black and being a woman, it will always be my first and main focus. I do understand that, like, if I have the power to shine a light on other people, I'm going to use it for that. But I have to make sure my foot is in the door first so that I can expand that platform for those people,
Yeah.
right? So not only that, but working with Black Voices in Gaming, which I fully support. I think it's an incredible initiative. It was a showcase that kind of started during the events that happened around George Floyd and kind of all of the police brutality and then the white on black crime that was happening in the United States. And it's now a nonprofit. They're able to get funding and mentorship and really help these developers succeed and see their games come to fruition so that other people can experience them. And I just feel super lucky and honored to be a part of that. And now I'm doing my own thing with Dames for Games. And that's where me being a Black woman comes to the forefront again, talking about my experience as a Black woman, but also talking about other people's experience as women in the gaming community and in the industry. Because we've all, if you've played games long enough, you've experienced the toxicity that comes being a female and playing a game, regardless of your color. As soon as they find out you're female, like it can become very stressful. It become unsafe. But the real reason like I wanted to do Dames for Games is to show that, yo, we're out here. We're still playing, regardless of the BS that comes our way. We're still pushing to make changes. We're still out here helping to create these games that you guys love. We're out here creating our own studios. We're out here like being the best of the best at certain games, being a part of the top 10 of like FPS and fighter games, starting our own esports leagues. Like we are doing so much despite all of the drama that comes in. And I feel like I recognize that so much because I feel like as a Black person, you have to fight your battles so much more. You have so many more battles to fight when it comes to being in any industry, not just the game industry. So being around other people who are just as passionate about making changes because they need to be made, about building a foundation for those who are going to come after us to make it a more inclusive space. Those are the things that are really important to me. And so everything that I'm involved in, everything that I do, that is one of my main focuses.
Yeah. And I can feel that with every showcase that you've done as part of Black Voices in Gaming. Like I see you on one of the many platforms that you are on. I'm like, yeah, I see you, Destinee.
I'll be out here trying.
Yeah, honestly, it's very inspiring to see.
Thank you. And that's important. I'm glad that I inspire you. I want to inspire other people. I do not want to be the only face. I want all of us to succeed. It's really important to me because if we all succeed, it won't. I don't really like seeing the same faces over and over again.
Yep, I know exactly what you mean.
I don't want to be one of those people who's the face of like, well, if anything, you got to go to Destinee and da-da-da. No, it really shouldn't be like that. There should be multiple of us at the top making moves because the more of us that are at the top, the more recognition we get, the more doors we can open. Do you know what I'm saying? You as one person can only open so many doors. You have 10 people up there opening doors. Just imagine what 100 people could do. Exactly. So that's my goal. I want to open doors for people, and I try to open doors for people. I'm constantly thinking of ways to like connect people, and that's what I want to do. I want we all need to succeed. We do. Yeah. And that's just it. That's really it.
It's like they say, a rising tide raises all ships. And the more people like yourself that you have in the industry, the better it is going to be for us. That is exactly what the purpose of a lot of these brands are for.
And not just for Black people. I want people to understand that. Like, obviously, my focus is going to be Black people. I'm Black. You know what I mean? But like, once we build these foundations, it's a foundation for anybody to step up on and start to create their own platform and to start pushing their agenda for inclusivity. Like, I'm just trying to open the door so that like everybody else can come in with me, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's for like anybody, people of color, the disability, like people with disabilities, the LGBTQ plus. Like my main focus, like I said, will always be Black people because I am Black, and I would feel like I would be doing a disservice if I did not, focus on Black people and Black women. Then my next focus is people of color, and then my next focus is the LGBTQ plus. And then there are going to be people like, why can't you focus on all that? I do not have the bandwidth to focus on everything at once. I just want to put that out there. It's not because I don't think what you're trying to represent or what you want to say is not important. I believe it's important. And I believe that if I am able to open a door, then you can come through and you can lead the charge on those specific topics. That's what I'm doing. Because you will have a lot of people be like, well, why can't you talk about everything? Because I'm not an expert at everything. I'm an expert on the Black woman in the gaming industry, and that's what I know. But like, if you're an expert on, what it is to like be a disabled player, absolutely come up on the platform and talk about it, because people should know about it. So yeah, I want people to know I'm inclusive. And I need people to understand that, because I think a lot of people want to nitpick and say certain things like, well, she's not doing this or she's not doing, I can't do everything.
Yeah.
But hopefully I can open a pathway to you or build some stairs to where you feel comfortable enough to start doing it yourself. Right. And I will be the best ally I can possibly be and support you in the way that I feel is best.
That's very important. It's the very identity of your brand. You have to know it, and it's got to be something that you're not going to bend on, because if you do, how much more are you willing to compromise?
Exactly.
How much longer until you're not the brand that you started out as? You can very easily have your mission and vision lost. But yeah, a lot of us are familiar with your time at Black Voices in Gaming. Dame for Games is something that's really new and recent. You said it's something that you want to do for yourself. Now, what was the catalyst from you for you to make that decision as, oh, I want to do this for me. I don't care about what else I'm doing. I want this as well as everything else. I can do it all. What was that moment for you where you decided Dame for Games is something you wanted to add to your ever-growing list of brands?
So it's really funny because it didn't really come along like that. At first, it was like, well, we're doing Black voices in gaming, and I know we're doing that because they're underrepresented. Why don't we do something for women? So my first thought of it was like, hey, we should do something for women. And I just thought I can host it sometimes.
Yep. That's how it always starts.
I can host it sometimes.
Yeah.
And then it turned into like, no, we definitely should do it. This is a great idea. You're going to be the lead point on it. Which, like, at that point, I was just like, okay, I'll take up the lead, because it's something that I believed in, right? But in the beginning, I don't think I thought I was qualified to be the lead of something like that. And you may be like, why not? Blah, blah, blah. And I think it's because I'm more of a casual gamer. Like, I love playing games, but I'm not super hardcore into anything. I do not understand the console wars. I literally have my Xbox in a box, never been opened or plugged in. I have my PS5. It's in a box, never been opened or plugged in. I have my Steam Deck. I bought it. It's never been opened. No, it's been opened, but I've never turned it on. People get really upset with me.
You bought a Steam Deck and you haven't played it?
I've never played it. People get really mad at me because they're like, I think people think I'm not a real gamer because I don't do those things, but like, I want to play the game when I feel like playing it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not the type of person who's like, it's very rare that I'll buy a game as soon as it comes out. You know what I mean? Like, I like to take everything at my pace. So when I decide I want to play the Xbox, I will open up the Xbox and play it. But most of the time, I'm a huge PC gamer first. And I've been that way since college because all my money needed to go towards having like a pretty decent PC for what I was going to school for, which was animation, 3D, and special effects. So it just made sense that I put all my money into my rig. And then I would just play games off my rig when I wasn't working on stuff. And I just never had the money or felt like I needed to invest in getting a console after I left home. So like the last time I really had a console was and like played on it was when I was in high school. And then when I went off to college, I didn't have one. I just had my computer. And so I just played on Steam a lot. And that's where I play a lot of my games. I'm also a person who really enjoys playing co-op games and playing with other people versus playing single player games. And I feel like for a while, console was on that single player vibe for a really long time. And I feel lonely. And then I just don't. I would rather I will buy a game and watch somebody else play it just so we're doing it together.
Yeah.
Like that's the type of person I am than me sitting there for hours by myself in a dark room playing a game. Not to say that that's what gamers do, okay? But that's how I would do it. You know what I mean? That's what so I didn't really know if I was the right person to have to lead something like that. But lo and behold, I think that's a part of like having imposter syndrome, like not believing like you can do it. Cause when I tell you all the things that I've done and all the games that I've played, it's like, why would you not think you could lead something like this? So I think in the end, I became the leader of it. And I don't like to say it's my thing because so many people have helped me put it together, but I do realize that I was the person who voiced it the loudest that we need to have this, we need to make it. And because I voiced it the loudest, I ended up being like, this is the thing that Destinee created. But I just want people to know it is not just me who created it. There have been so many wonderful, beautiful souls that have come to the forefront to kind of help me put this together. And without them, it would not have been done. So I kind of want to give them their kudos too. I won't like name everybody because I will forget a name. And that never feels good. So yeah, there are a lot of people who have done that. And I'm really proud of what we're doing. I'm really proud again to be part of Black Voices in Gaming and now to kind of be the lead on something that I've always felt was really important in inclusivity, diversity. And I'm doing it in a way that I didn't think I would do it before. When I was very young and wanted to start school in 2D animation, it was specifically because I wanted to see more Black girls in cartoons and not just the sidekick or the friend or anything like that. And I've stepped away from animation for a long time now, but now I've just taken the same passion, the same ideas and the same wants and needs to the game industry. And so that's what I'm doing. And I'm lucky enough to say that I know people who have helped me get to this point and opened up doors that have allowed me to make the connections I need to make. And so I want to just do the same thing. I want to pay it forward.
Yeah. That's the best way, it's come from a genuine spark. It's a need for representation. It's a call to action. And it's one that has been ringing for a very long time. And
yes.
We have you now answering that call. Just more Black women in games, protagonists, which obviously should mean more Black women in the game studios, animators, writers, directors, producers. It needs to be a wholesale introduction.
Thank you. I'm trying to do this trickle down effect where it actually trickles down. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Destinee, this has been an amazing time. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks
Could
for
you
having
please,
me.
of course, anytime, let the people know where they can find you, follow you, and all of your brands because it is inspiring, but it's a lot.
It is a lot. All right. So I'm probably most active when it comes to industry stuff on my Twitter. So you can follow me at D as in dog, N as in Nancy, B as in boy, C as in cat 32, DMBC 32. You can also check out some of the things that I'm working on and just some of the organizations who are working to make a change at Black Voices in Gaming, BVIG Gaming on Twitter. Sorry, not BVIG Gaming, BVI Gaming on Twitter. You can also check out the Lv1 podcast. No, it's not Lv1 podcast. I would say it's just Lv1 Gaming, but they do a lot of podcasts and they write a lot of stories. So Lv1 Gaming, and also check us out on Dames for Games, because this is something that we're going to continue to grow. It's just going to get bigger and better, and I'm excited to see the changes that it's going to make, like the positive changes. So yeah, that's where you can. Everything else, if you find me on any other social media platform, it's just me fucking around. So. It's just my personal, right? So like if you want to know what's going on, like my Instagram is just, I don't even like do anything on there anymore. So yeah, Twitter's the best place to find me. And I guess you can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm trying to get better at responding on LinkedIn, but I forget it exists. So, but
yeah,
I'm really
I
bad
only
at
have
LinkedIn.
yeah. I feel you, because I only have so much capacity for so much stuff.
Yes,
So like
LinkedIn
yeah,
falls to the back burner like so much. So yeah. Oh my God, I think I need to respond to somebody that I haven't responded to in weeks. Now that I think about it, just hit me. Thanks for the reminder. No, she's probably
You're
like, wow, she
welcome.
just never said anything again. Yeah.
And while Destiny does that, you could follow and support the Streamcast on so many different platforms: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Streamcast _ YouTube.com/Streamcast, where you can watch this podcast. And if you are watching us on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up. Let us know what your favorite 5 games are.
Comment too. Comment.
Yeah, because that all helps us in the true final boss, the algorithm. Give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe.
Subscribe.
The
Hit
other
that bell
thing,
button if you want to know when they're going to do another show. You can do it like where you know every show's popping up, or you can do it just sometimes. You know, I'm learning this because I watch a lot of YouTube.
Yes, exactly. Set it to all, so you don't get you don't miss anything.
You don't want to miss anything.
Be the first person to catch the new Streamcast content, first person to drop a comment on our new video. All of that support goes a very long way. You can also watch our podcast on Spotify, and make sure you give us a review there. Give us 5 stars, please. Apple Podcasts, you can listen to us there. Castbox, Pocket Casts, a plethora of podcasting platforms. Anywhere you consume your pods, you can listen to us. Give us a rating, a review. That helps us out greatly. We also have a blog, thestreamcast.co.uk, and we stream every weeknight on Twitch, Streamcast TV. Go to our website. A lot of our links are there. We do so much.
He talks about me doing that. This man.
It's all for you people. So I hope you're grateful. I hope you enjoy the content, and I hope you stay safe and protect your loved ones. We'll catch you on the next Streamcast.